Why tutorials don't work. When you're watching tutorials on YouTube, for example, how to do this, how to do that, you're just getting a false sense of progress. Your brain is not solving any problems. It's just absorbing the steps that the guy on YouTube does. It's like watching someone lift weights and expect yourself to get stronger by just watching them. Doesn't make any sense, right? And that's because tutorials are just passive learning. It's not real learning. You're not solving any problems, you're not using your brain, you're not learning structure, you're not searching up things, you're barely even using your brain. You're just a robot following steps that the guy on YouTube does. Like, you are just following his brain, and you expect like his brain power to get into yours just by doing the things he does. That's not how learning works. You remember what you struggle with. And in tutorials, there's no struggles. Tutorials hurt your game dev skills. They're not just ineffective, they also build dependency. Suddenly, you need a tutorial to do basic stuff. You need a tutorial to do this, do that. And it builds a kind of dependency because you've never actually learned what you're doing. You just follow the steps and you feel like, your brain just feel like it does something and it progresses. But in reality, you're just following steps. That's all you do. You're not learning. It builds dependency in a way that it kind of gives you a false sense of confidence, a false sense of progress. So you actually do more advanced stuff than you actually should. Like, you're actually learning about all these unnecessary things, like post-processing, shader graphs, like Cinemachine, and you can't even make a player movement. You didn't even make the own player movement for the project you're currently working at and searching tutorials for. And I'm going to tell you the absolute worst of them all are complete project tutorials. You're just following like a robot, and you might even use hours or even days on this, because it might be a long series for multiple hours, which you're just following like a robot. Like, you're not learning anything for hours on end. If you want to learn more about stuff like this, click the link in the description. There are actually a few useful use cases for tutorials, and I'll go through them. If you don't hit any of these criteria, I don't recommend you watch them at all. So the first one is if you're a complete beginner, you've never opened Unity before, you can't script anything, then yeah, sure, watch a tutorial. But what you're going to do is you're not going to follow the steps mindlessly. You're going to create your own project, and you're going to actively take notes on pen and paper. And you're going to try to be critical and think. You're going to think, why does he do that? Why doesn't he do this? And you can also pause the video and try to guess what he's going to do next. And even pause the video and try to research something yourself before he gives you the solution. So, and that will look like, for example, a tutorial on 10 minutes. You're going to spend 30 minutes on it because you're constantly searching up, writing notes and stuff like that. Like, you're actively learning. Like, you're using the tutorial for active learning, not just following the steps that he does in the video. And this applies for all of these, by the way. You can also use tutorials as a tool for your own projects, but you don't use it as a teacher. So for example, if you're going to add an advanced system that you have no idea how to implement, like, yeah, sure, you can watch a tutorial on that. That's totally fine. If it's like a super complex system that would take you days to find out on your own, but just use this as a tool. Don't use that as a teacher. And the next useful use case for tutorials is to understand concepts. And that doesn't mean how you do stuff, but it's the why you do stuff. And for this, you can't just watch any tutorial. It has to be someone that teaches what they do. They have to explain the why, preferably. You can also search it up yourself. But preferably, if you're going to watch a tutorial just to understand the concepts, you want someone that thoroughly explains everything they do. And this is also especially true for those that are a little bit more advanced. So now we talked a lot about when to not use tutorials and that you shouldn't use them. But you might be asking now, Kevin, what am I going to do instead of watching these tutorials? Like, I need them. And for that, I have a list. So To learn, you're not going to watch tutorials. You're going to build real projects with your own ideas. Like you are going to write down your own ideas for something that you think you can make, but also you don't think you can make everything without some challenges. That's like the perfect balance. So you need to find something that's a little bit challenging, but you could also finish it if you just had enough time and like time to think. And the goal when building these real projects are to just make a ton of mistakes and get stuck. So when you get stuck, that's awesome. Try to first think for yourself how you could solve this. Like get out, I'm talking a lot about pen and paper here, but honestly do it. Get your pen and paper and try to just draw something, like find a solution for the problem that you're facing. Like try to find out the logic part. And for most cases, that's enough to overcome what you got stuck at. But you might not know how to actually implement it. Like for example, if you're going to like shoot a bullet, for example, you need to add force. You don't know how to add force. That's a really bad example, but you get the point. You need to just Google how to add force to a bullet using physics. And it comes up, obviously, rb.add force. And that's all the external information you need, because the logic of it, of when to add the force and everything else, and the actual implementation, like that are things you can think of, use your brain to actually find a solution of. Like you don't need to watch a tutorial just to find the logic. That's why you have your brain. And I'm also just going to give you a disclaimer. When I say don't watch tutorials, don't use AI as a replacement for tutorials. Never ever tell the AI to just write this entire script if your goal is to learn. If your goal is to make something fun, like a fun project, go ahead. But if your goal is to learn, use AI minimally, because AI is going to give you more information than you actually should get. It's not going to make you think. Like it might give you a few questions, but at the end of the day, it's just giving you the answer. That's what it's programmed for. So just remember that your goal is to make as many mistakes as possible and then fix them. Like mistakes do actually make you stronger. It's totally true. And when you're fixing them, you're going to do what we talked about before, that you're going to try to be logical, use your own brain. But if you don't really know how to do this one specific thing because you don't know the syntax or how to do it specifically, then just use Google very quickly and find the thing that you need. If you're really stuck, then yeah, you can watch a tutorial. And that's how you use tutorials effectively. To summarize everything, the moment you stop following and start building is the moment you actually start learning. Don't waste more time pretending.